study of consciousness. And in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the primary text that we use, the speaker or teacher is Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in reading the Bhagavad Gita, one can accept the statements as axiomatic, which is necessary since wherever we take up a learning process or trying to understand anything, we have to accept something that's axiomatic or a source of knowledge that is beyond reproach. Otherwise, we have infinite regress. So the system of Krishna consciousness is based on accepting the tenets of the Bhagavad Gita as true. And with that established, one can experiment. And in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the author or the translator of this particular version called Bhagavad Gita as it is, who is also our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, mentions that even if you don't believe in God, and for the time being, suspend disbelief and accept that Krishna is all-knowing, he's omniscient, and therefore whatever he's saying is true, and read it in that context. And when one reads in that context, one can find that there are many commonsensical instructions. If you test them in your own life, you can find that they're effective. One that has always impressed me is something that Krishna says in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita when he's talking about consciousness. There are different monikers given to consciousness within the Bhagavad Gita. And one of them is Atma. Atma refers to an individual conscious entity. That is that each one of us who are sitting here today are conscious and we're also individual. And we remain so. This is one of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. In the outset of the Gita, again, chapter 2, Krishna explains that we all have a sense of individuality, and that's not illusory. And he also then distinguishes between the individual entities who are conscious and a supreme entity who's supremely conscious. So we're conscious but not supremely conscious because we don't have omniscience. In the Gita, Krishna also says that the individual conscious entity is also known as Kshetra Gya. Gya is a Sanskrit word which means to know something. It's also cognate with the word know, K-N-O-W in English. One of the oddly spelled words that every third grader comes across says, what the? And that means that we can know our individual body somewhat, but it also, the implication is we don't know all other bodies. My experience is that I barely know what's going on in my body. I'm constantly amazed at how it's working. And oftentimes I don't even know if something's wrong with my body. Somebody has to tell me. It's like, by the way. So we're minimally conscious of our body, but we do have a sensual experience where if you touch your ankle, you can feel it. As the consciousness, as Krishna also says in the Gita, 13th chapter, pervades the body. And then he says, besides the individual units of consciousness, there's a supremely conscious being who knows all living entities, who also is aware of what's going on in every body. And that is called super spirit or Paramatma, who's conscious everywhere, always. Those cultures that talk about God in very simple terms often refer to Supreme Spirit or the Great Spirit. And even secular poets, for instance, you have Thoreau Emerson, the book On Walden Pond, where the Romantics, a particular school of thought and kind of literature, will commune with nature and experience or describe what's often known as pantheism. Pan means everywhere or everything. And theism means the presence of God or an understanding of God. So there are ways in which people describe this all-pervading spirit or consciousness. So this is one of the basic tenets of the teaching of Bhagavad Gita, and it's further explained in other Vedic literatures. For instance, there's a statement that says that as individual units of consciousness, we're dependent on the Supreme Consciousness. And that there's a designation given that we're in the plurality of eternals, individual eternals, and there's one supreme eternal under whom all the individual conscious entities are subsumed. And what's more, it's the Shastra says, Shastra means the scriptural teachings, it says Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam Eko Bahunam Yovidhati Kaman. And that means that the supreme conscious being, who's also individual, is supplying all of the needs, fulfilling the desires, or feeding all the individuals who are dependent on that supreme conscious being. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. So there's a plurality of eternals. There's one supreme eternal. Eko Bahunam Yovidhati Kaman. And there's one that's feeding everybody else. And that's also something Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that the non-sectarian path of God realization, it depends on one's sincerity of purpose. If we sincerely inquire about who we are, and if we have also a humble sense that I'm not the supreme and I would like to know who the supreme is, or even another step further is I'd like to know how to engage with or serve the supreme, then the supreme within our heart, called Paramatma, gives us intelligence how to do that. But it's not just intelligence for that. That's a special kind of intelligence. It's a guidance that comes from within our hearts. Krishna in the Gita says that's Supreme Spirit, who's there within everyone's heart, who's omniscient, gives us intelligence about everything. Whatever we endeavor to do is dependent on having intelligence. If we don't have intelligence to perform a task, then we won't be able to do it. And in the Gita he says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sanivishto mattak smritir gyanam upohanam cha. There's a way that Krishna is saying, I'm in everyone's heart. Krishna is speaking as the Supreme, and one of his features is that he's there with every living being. He says that I give the intelligence. I give intelligence, I give knowledge, and also forgetfulness. If you want to forget, he can help you out. And coming to one of the verses that I've always found helpful is where Krishna talks about consciousness as ascharyavat, which means amazing. He says, if you take notice of it, you'll see that it's an amazing phenomenon. Actually, it's not a phenomenon. Phenomenon refers to the material workings, as Krishna says in the Gita, Jnanam teham Vijnanam idam vyakshamya sheshadha yajyata nehabhuno yaj gyatavyama vishishyate. When you learn this, the science of Krishna consciousness from me, Krishna says, by listening, just pay attention, basically, and listen, you'll know about everything phenomenal and numinous, which means that which is beyond phenomena or matter. And that realm is interesting, and Krishna says, Ascharya vadati tataiva chanya. Some see the soul as amazing, some hear of him as amazing, some, even after hearing about him, can't understand him at all. And then there's a science of how the soul is within the body, or the Atma, that conscious, individual conscious being, who's all of us, and how we move from one body to the next. First of all, there's a way in which this body is not one thing. It's constantly changing, Krishna says. How is it changing? Well, just like a river. What river do we have around here? I haven't been to a river lately. Just reminded me I should go to a river. What's a good river? American River? Colorado? You want to go all the way to Colorado? Colorado River, huh? Amazon? There's a lot of rivers. Somebody pick a river in the back row. Give me a good river nearby. Russian River. Okay, I'm sorry. What did you say? Kennedy, what did you say? Sacramento River? Mississippi? If you go to the boy, I'm all confused now. If you go to the Russian River, which is actually R-U-S-S-I-A-N, not R-U-S-H-I-N apostrophe. Just by the way. If you step in it, and then you walk away and you step in it a minute later, you're not stepping in the same river. That's in Bhagavatam, which is the postgraduate study of the Bhagavad Gita. It's not a postgraduate type idea, but it's there in the Bhagavatam nonetheless, and it says that the river is not the same river, although we name it as a particular, we give it a particular name and consider it one thing, it's always changing. So the body's always changing. It's never the same. That in itself is interesting, and then Krishna says the difference between the conscious entity within the body and the body is the entity that's conscious doesn't change. And when we experience change, it's due to our identification with matter. So an often given example is that if there's a pot of water, and let's just say it's on your patio, and there's a full moon. The full moon would be reflected when it's overhead in the water. And if the water is very still, you would see the moon reflected there in a pristine state, would look very moon-like. But if you were to agitate the pot or the wind rippled the water, then the appearance of the moon on the water would be varied. It would be distorted even. And in a similar way, because we see through the lens of our minds the world as conscious beings. The mind in various states interprets the world to be various or to be varied. And we see it in different ways. Sometimes people take intoxication and the mind becomes distorted in a particular way. And even if they're sitting in a calm place, like in somebody's living room, they may be seeing that the carpet is starting to grow flowers or something, or, depends what they're on, but, things are moving or morphing, whereas the person next to that person who's observing, who's not intoxicated, would just see a person looking out into the world and experiencing something that's not really happening. So there's a way in which, through our changing body, when we identify with the body and the mind, and especially when the mind is in a disturbed state, which is another thing Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, and then we see the world in the way that our mind is shaped, because it's lens-like. So one of the directions that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita is to become aware that we're not our bodies. The body is a changing entity. The mind is a changing entity. And that we're permanent. And the changes that take place he names as birth. We come into the world from another place, and if you ever noticed, babies, when they're born, they're already dreaming. Babies, when they're first born, are dreaming. Why are they dreaming? If they were coming fresh into the world with no experience or information from anywhere, what are they dreaming about? I've also noticed that they have extreme jet lag. As I was watching some babies once, and I was thinking, why do they sleep all the time? Then they wake up and like, where am I? And they go back to sleep for a long time. I know what I feel like when I get jet lag. I fly from India or Japan, is even worse for some reason, and come back, and where am I? But what to speak of when you travel, there's interplanetary or any inner body travel. You go from one body to the next and you wake up, which is what the Srimad Bhagavatam says is birth. Birth means when you next to become conscious, next because there's a continuum of a new body, a new environment, new circumstance. And there you are adapting to a new body. And according to the Bhagavad Gita, it could be any sort of body. And it's dependent on the type of consciousness that you develop during your lifetime. So that's one of the main instructions that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita to his student Arjuna, is that it's important to develop spiritual consciousness, which means an awareness of who you are, what your relationship with the supreme consciousness is, and also an awareness that you're not part of the material world, nor are you your body. And a higher development of consciousness is to develop a sense of emotional attachment, otherwise known as love, for God. And this is a little more advanced teaching, but it is said in other teachings around the Bhagavad Gita that it's the nature of the individual conscious beings that have the potential to love God. That potentiality is there, and we can see it expressed in every conscious being, even if we observe various species of life. Do you want to name one? What? A dragonfly? Dragonfly would... I don't know all the nomenclature for dragonfly's offspring. Do you? What's a baby dragonfly? Better find out. A what? That's too easy. We are a dragonfly. We're going to... Can you ask Siri, huh? Nim? M-I what? Just spell it. Nymph? That's what a baby dragonfly is? See, that's why you drive all the way out here, to learn stuff like that. The dragonfly. And I'm assuming, based on my astute study of the Nature Channel, that the dragonfly or any other mother-type being will look over and tend to its offspring, where the dragonfly looks after the nymphs that are born. The dog is very much attached to the puppies. And there's a sense you can see in many species where they're curious. They also can be loving. They can get attached. Elephants get very attached to their human counterparts. The person, the woman who tended, they're not there anymore, the elephants in Mayapur. For a long time, I interviewed her for a couple hours because I was trying to extract some good metaphors and analogies. But I had noticed also a godbrother of mine who had a friendship with one of the elephants in Mayapur. Even if he was away for a year or 2 years, when he'd come back, just from the perimeter of the property, if he'd call out the name of the elephant, she would immediately recognize his voice, and wherever she was, she'd want to come running to him and try to embrace him. And same with the elephant keeper. Point is that there's a natural propensity in the soul to love and to be attached. That never goes away. And the soul's always active and creative, attached, active, creative. And Krishna mentions this in the Gita, where he says, Nahi kashyat shanamapi jatu tishchatya karma krit karyate hyavasa karma sarva prakriti jargunai. The conscious being is always active, always attached, always creative. But through different media, we get a body, it's an instrument through which we can express ourselves, through which we love various entities, and through which we're active. We do work with our various senses. And where do the senses come from? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that they're given to us as instruments through which we can use the material resources, or another word, manipulate the material resources. And then Krishna describes how the way that one comes on to the spiritual path is to begin to use one's senses for a higher purpose. We have to survive, and we need to eat, as an example. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yat koroshi arashnashi, yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kontiyat tat kurishva manarpanam. In that litany, he says, all that you do, all that you eat, there it is, eat, offer, give away, whatever kind of sacrifices you perform, austerities you perform, direct them towards the Supreme Spirit. Don't do it just for survival, and don't do it just to try to have the temporary, by nature, titillation of the senses, just to experience some sense enjoyment, but do it for a higher cause. This shifting of one's purpose and using the senses for a higher purpose then makes one more and more aware of the fact that one's not one's body. One achieves this sense of perspective that I'm not my body, and my senses also are instruments to be used for a higher purpose. One gets knowledge from that. It's a concomitant. And then also, there's a way in which the natural feeling of love that we have in our hearts, which is by default directed towards our offspring. For instance, the dragonfly mother is naturally attached to the nymphs. When the babies come out, she'll hover over them. I'm making stuff up now. She'll hover over them and start feeding them and take care of them. It's by extrapolation from seeing so many other species where you think, you like these guys? Like, yeah, they're mine. We have a sense for that naturally. So then Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a way in which when you channel that sense of affection, or you direct it towards the Supreme Spirit, who, as it turns out, when you get into the postgraduate teachings of the Bhagavatam, is very lovable. In fact, the name Krishna means completely lovable. The kind of person that you've always been looking for, the best kind of friend, the person you want to serve. Like some people, you just want to serve them. You see what they're doing, they have a noble cause, and you think, what can I do? I want to do something for them. Sometimes people follow around singers, for instance, because singers touch people's hearts with their music, and they're so charismatic singers because they can sing. And if they can write music and then play it, people come from everywhere and listen, and they want to be there. People used to chase after, when I was a youngster, there was a group called the Beatles. I just remember people would chase them, try to, if they could get a piece of their clothing or be near them, then they feel sort of some satisfaction, happiness, maybe bring them things. Sometimes you maybe have a favorite teacher at school. If you have this experience, and you were so enamored of your teacher because they're so good to you, and you could tell that you were improving because of that. You just think, what can I do for my teacher? And the way that was normally expressed in America is you bring them an apple. All Americans know that's what you're supposed to do, bring an apple to your teacher. Tori, yes or no? Bring an apple, right? So there's a natural way we want to serve people, be around them. We consider them cool, or they're so, what's another adjective that we might ascribe to somebody you want to be around? Charismatic, which is really the same word as Krishna. Charisma. Say charisma. Now say Hari Charisma. Hari Charisma. If you look up the word, you'll see it means the same thing. Krishna, charisma. Charisma is like, what? Who is that? Let's hang out. And that's Krishna. Charisma. Hari Charisma. Hari Krishna. There's a natural way one wants to look at them. I just want to look at you. Don't mind. And then there's a way that one wants to be a friend. Like, boy, what if I was friends with such and such? You're a friend of who? Can you invite me over so I can maybe be a friend? And then there's the love of a parent, and then there's this kind of unceremonious love, secret love that happens between lovers. And that all these are elements of the life of the soul, but it's expressed in this world through a temporary body, and the palette that we're working from in this world and that we're looking at is temporary. It has similar variety as what reality has. There are colors, there are shapes, there's emotions, there are various scenes. You could see love scenes, you could see a car crash, gruesome scenes. All of these are here in this world. And all the spectrum of emotions that one can experience, we can perceive in us. That's the nature of consciousness. It's not illusory. It's true. But our interaction with the material world, Krishna says, is it's a faux experience. It's not a real connection with the object that will satisfy us. So we can then transfer our sense of attraction from the temporary elements of the material world, and we can become instead focused on Krishna. And when one realizes one's attachment, and then there's an awakening of emotion towards Krishna, which happens through this very well thought out system of bhakti yoga, where one practices using one's senses as a way to connect to Krishna. Then the senses become purified. They become more useful. And through the senses, we start to experience our connection with the Supreme Spirit in our hearts, become aware the Supreme Spirit is there. We also become enamored of the qualities of the Supreme Spirit. And it's fulfilling. It's naturally fulfilling. And it's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam to be so natural that the phenomena of spiritual awakening, and that is that our senses become attached to reality rather than to temporality, is like eating. When you're hungry and you eat, you naturally feel nourished, satisfied, and your hunger abates. And so in a similar way, when you practice what Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita as karma yoga, and then there's bhakti yoga that evolves from that, you also have you feel nourishment. You actually feel satisfied. Unlike attachment to temporary things in this world where Krishna says, adyantavanta, they have a beginning and an end, so you're not going to feel satisfied from it. You'll feel depleted when you chase after the temporary. When you invest your emotions even in the temporary, you'll get disappointed, to say the least. So that, however, it's a simple equation. Just use your same emotions, your same senses that you have now. Just start using them in the service of the Supreme. So I'll just read a short excerpt from the Bhagavad Gita, because a lot of times in the modern world, when we're busy maintaining ourselves through making a living, we can feel that maybe I'm doing it wrong. Shouldn't I instead be living in a forest somewhere with a couple of pieces of cloth and maybe just a little, not even a bowl, I'll just eat out of my hands. And I'll drink water from the river, and I'll sit in a solitary place next to the river and just be absorbed in the Supreme. Instead, we find ourselves waking up to an alarm clock and driving in a machine to work, and then interacting with many different kinds of people who have different ideas about what the goal of life is, and we also have to stay focused on our work in order to do well. Am I correct in that? Yes. I thought so. Here we go. This is from Bhagavad Gita 18.11. This chapter is called Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. So what is the perfection of renunciation? It doesn't mean to go to the river or the forest and sit and use your hands to drink water and maybe eat some berries off the tree and that's it. This doesn't mean that. It also doesn't mean to grow a beard for the sake of looking like a sage, sagely. It doesn't mean to change your cloth. It doesn't make any difference what you wear. Shukadev, he was the greatest renunciate ever, and he didn't wear anything. And Ambarish Maharaj was the greatest renunciate ever, and he wore kingly dress. So it doesn't matter what you wear. That's not the point. the point is given here, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's especially Prabhupada's purport that I'm bringing your attention to. The verse says, it is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. Feel better already? Yeah, because spiritual life means giving up all activities. Why am I still doing stuff if I'm spiritual? So Krishna is right here. He says, it is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who has truly renounced. And here's Prabhupada's purport. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that one can never give up work at any time. Therefore, he who works for Krishna does not enjoy the fruit of results. Therefore, he who works for Krishna and does not enjoy the fruit of results, who offers everything to Krishna, is actually a renouncer. There are many members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness who work very hard in their office or in the factory or some other place, and whatever they earn, they give to the society. Such highly elevated souls are actually sannyasis and are situated in the renounced order of life. It is clearly outlined here how to renounce the fruits of work and for what purpose fruits should be renounced. Just the context of that is many people lived in a temple ashram and then went to work. That was pretty much the norm. We didn't have, at one point in ISKCON, anybody who lived outside of the ashram environment, which meant that you were fed naturally and you had a place to live. And now it's the opposite. If you can find somebody living in an ashram somewhere, it's like going to a zoo and seeing a panda. Like, wow, they got a panda here? I'm just saying the context is that there were devotees that joined Krishna consciousness. For instance, my godbrother Jayananda found Prabhupada, noted that he was saintly, and wanted to serve him, that natural sense. So he came and said, I'm ready to give up everything. And Prabhupada said, don't. Keep driving your cab. He was a cab driver. Keep driving your cab and just use the money to help spread Krishna consciousness and help support the fledgling movement that we have here. And someone might say, oh, you're a cab driver. How are you renounced? Well, I'm driving because my spiritual master said drive and then use the proceeds to help spread Krishna consciousness. That's what's called a sannyasi, according to Prabhupada here. That's real renunciation. Not that you give up work, not that you artificially try to be a monk. Although monkhood is good. I lived as a monk for 13 years and I liked it very much. And it helped me immensely in my life. But in a practical sense, anybody can do this bhakti yoga just by readjusting their intentions and where they focus their energy. And as far as work goes, is giving some of the fruit of the work to help spread Krishna consciousness. Especially, I notice it's helpful to donate for book distribution because it's so quantifiable. If you give $250, for instance, you know one set of Bhagavatams definitely went out somewhere. You can count it. But there's so many other causes. And I also noticed that here at ISKCON Silicon Valley or anywhere else where we have this culture where at intervals we'll have these special events. We call fundraising, but they're opportunities for people to donate for books. Everyone feels transcendental. When people start putting up their hand and donating, it's not that they suddenly feel morose. Like, why did I give away their money? They feel surcharged and think, I think I'm going to do it again. They'll do it, 5 times, because the more that we invest our energy in whatever we think is ours, and we're able to dislodge it and put it into the arena of sacrifice so it's used for Krishna, we feel uplifted. So one can live like that. in one's entire life by dedicating one's senses, all that you eat, all that you give away, whatever austerities you perform. And don't do it for political cause. Those are temporary. Do it for Krishna. And then you'll be a renunciate, and you'll also attain the ultimate goal of life. And you can't do otherwise, because we are where we are, and you can't suddenly relocate and then think that you're going to make advancement. You have to start with what you're doing now, and then see how you can dedicate it to Krishna. And step by step, everything will transform, just like when you make yogurt. You have a big pot of yogurt, and you take a little bit of yogurt and put it in the milk. No, not a big pot of yogurt. You have a big pot of milk, and you put a little bit of yogurt. Then you put the pot of milk in a slightly warm environment. Cooks, help me out here. And then you come back later, and the whole pot's turned to yogurt. So a little bit of this attention to giving to Krishna, it transforms our whole lives. Now we have time for a few questions. Comments, or if you'd like to give an entire commentary, that's also okay. Shraddha Devi Dasi, we'd like to move everyone up by, let's go for 7.2 inches. We'd like to welcome the 77 devotees who are on the internet. Oh, there's Divya. I'm calling on you next because I left you hanging on Saturday. Sorry, she's in Atlanta. Okay. Shraddha Devi Dasi needs a mic. By the way, while we're getting the mic, the word sannyas. A nyas means where you place something. And sang means everything or complete. So what sannyas means when you know where everything goes, you know everything's place. Like anyas means like this: Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayanaaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govardhanaya Namaha. Well, I know where to place the tilak marks, that's anyas. And a sannyas means you know where everything goes. It goes to Krishna. I was just entertaining the audience while you're getting your mic.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for the wonderful class. Just two quick things. One is continued observation on Hare Karishma. Hare Karishma.
Hare Karishma.
I just looked up the meaning in the dictionary, and the Oxford Dictionary describes the word charisma as compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire devotion.
Charm is a nice adjective, and there's a way that, or it's a noun, I guess. There's a way that Krishna is charming. When we come here for festivals, and I was taken with the animals. They're still here. I saw that on Ranashtami, I saw the deer. I was rather charmed by the environment, and then the flowers, and I think, was it even since Janmashtami we had the fountains, or that was Radhashtami? Yeah, it's too nice to take away, right? Because it's, Krishna's charming. That's one of the ways that he's described. And there's a sense when seeing Krishna that there's an astonishment that takes place. This is one of the features of the spiritual world. It's not that you're seeing things in a new light, but it's that it's becoming ever fresh, or it is ever fresh. Whatever is there in the spiritual world, we're not used to that. Everything wilts here. It's kind of opposite worlds. Everything's wilting and becoming. There's an enervating energy. Everything's disintegrating, but there everything's improving. It's hard to appreciate, but that's part of it. And also Krishna and the scene in Vrindavan is charming. We become charmed by it. And it's very natural to be charmed by the spiritual scene, Vrindavan, Krishna. Okay, Divya, please go ahead. Sorry we missed you on Saturday. And thank you for your persistence.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, we can hear you.
Okay. So I have a question about love. We often talk about love for Krishna, but what about love that is between the siblings? Like, sometimes
Love
your brothers, sisters, between siblings, like they'll do, everything for you. They show so much of love, affection, but at the same time, they are not interested in spiritual topics. They're not interested in scriptures, or they are not interested in Krishna. But and they don't like to hear the philosophy, like when you try to talk with them. But they really show you a lot of love, affection, and they like to talk more about Kajalpa, you know. So I just wonder that would that be how do we understand that?
I'm going to do you a little favor. I save you a lot of time and grief, okay? Don't try to preach to your siblings or to your mom and dad or to your cousins. Unless they approach you very sincerely, even then be very careful. There's a relationship we have with siblings. There's what's called sibling rivalry. It's naturally built in, and there's a way in which siblings, they want to show up their other siblings. If the younger one does something, I went back to school after I quit high school, and then I went back and I was just compelled, and I started taking some classes. I decided to get a degree, and I got a degree at San Francisco State University. And my mother predicted that my brother, who had gone to university, but he was UC Berkeley, and he quit, I think partway through his senior year. She predicted when I first started going to school, she said, he'll go back before you finish. Sure enough, he went back and finished his degree before I did, I think, because he couldn't stand to see me cross the finish line without him. And that's kind of naturally there. And also parents tell you what to do. You don't tell them how it is. Of course, many of you come from families where, I called my mom and dad, they're chanting 64 rounds now. Give us a break, would you? It's usually not like that. It's most parents, siblings, everyone, they have this sense of just keep it to yourself. And that's one of the best things you can do. Is recently, a devotee was telling me how she had gone on a study abroad program, and it was with students who didn't know about Krishna consciousness, so they all had to live in a common place. And at first she was really nervous about it, and then she'd go out on the balcony to chant her rounds and things like that. And after a while, they all picked up on it, and they really got into it. They're like, did you finish your rounds? And you can't eat here. You can only eat your food and stuff like that. And that's what happens. If you just go on practicing Krishna consciousness, you don't stop for the sake of somebody else. But if you don't try to pontificate and tell everyone how it is, then you won't get a backlash. And at some point, they'll actually come and ask you. And sometimes it happens later in life when things change for people and they recognize that you're a gentle enough soul and you've been gentle enough not to push it on them. They often come asking for it from you, but wait till that time. You can thank me later. Okay. Yes? What happened? Oh, yes, please.
Yeah. Is it working?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Mani Manjari, and
Mani Manjari.
Mani Manjari, correct.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, Vaisesika Prabhu. Thank you very much for this opportunity to ask you, a generous soul, this question. And my question is, I heard a lot of examples here during this lecture of you using senses. Either it's with animals or with food, it's all senses. And that's great. And my question is, Bhagavad Gita says that you have to renounce, stop sense gratification, like using senses basically. So how do I reconcile it? Thank you.
Well, if you get a dog, make sure you got a farm so you can run around and do its service. Everyone whatever you have around it, if you have a life centered around Krishna, then everything can be used in Krishna's service. For instance, I have a friend who lived in Thailand. I used to stop and visit him all the time. And he was always talking to his plants outside, saying, this guy's not doing very much service this year because he didn't give enough flowers for the deities. And when we have, for instance, we have a picture of Krishna in our house and we see that we offer everything to Krishna, then whatever food we have, it's a different experience cooking for Krishna. When you cook and you're thinking, I'm going to eat this, it's very different from cooking and thinking, I'm going to offer it to Krishna. And everything can be like that in our lives. Whatever we do, if we do it for Krishna, and that's our intention, then, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, working like that means that we don't become implicated in the senses. The senses are compared to serpents sometimes. They can bite us. But when you offer everything to Krishna, then the serpents are like serpents with no fangs. Sometimes you'll see these kids around Govardhan Hill, they have baskets and they come up and open it. There's a cobra inside and people go, "Wah!" But most people don't know that they don't have any teeth. So when you offer everything to Krishna and you dedicate whatever you're doing to Krishna, then the senses are there and they're being engaged, but they don't bite like they do when you're using them for sense gratification. So if you do anything, Krishna says, do it in the context of Krishna consciousness. It actually turns out that it's a richer life anyway. As if you notice what most people end up with, which you can do very easily if you just go door to door on Sankirtan and see the way people live. You're like, God, you guys don't have any deities, or you have no nice music, no Bhagavatam, no nice food. Here, in Krishna consciousness, even so-called renunciation it's really the greatest sense gratification. We have sensory overload. I remember going to the Dallas temple, and I got in late at night, Mangal Artik, and I just had this experience. Mangal Artik is there. You're singing at 4:30 in the morning, playing musical instrument. Who does that? Nobody in my neighborhood. And then after that, people are bringing out flames. Like you got fire, and then you're just sitting there and someone will swab your arm with some oil and like, whoa, and incense. And then in the Dallas temple, that Tamal Krishnamars designed that. And as the sun comes up, so similarly the lights do in the temple room, it looks like sunrise is happening. And then all the paintings, they're all Krishna's pastimes. And you look at them and Krishna's just having fun. He's dancing on Kaliya, he's dancing with his friends, or playing with his friends and dancing with his girlfriends. And you think, what is this place? If you go to a church, I was looking at churches, and the Protestant churches don't have any symbols except for one, which is a cross, which is a little austere. Without going into all the details, just a cross. And it's like, what does that remind you of? Not to be offensive to the whole idea of it, but it's a little gruesome. But there's nothing else. There's no pictures. There's no incense. There's no... Catholics have a little bit. They have forms and figures and stuff. So there's sense gratification that is purifying, and it's purifying when it's in relationship to Krishna. And that you can do in your home. If you get a picture of Krishna, I recommend Panchatattva and set it up in a nice place. And then if you make soup, make a little soup, and you just take over in a special bowl and put it before Krishna and say, Krishna, I made this for you. Please take it. And in Vrindavan, at Govardhan Hill, they'll bring a little laddu to Krishna and then put it in front of him and say, Lala, eat. That's how they offer. But it's all for Krishna. Mani Manjari?
As realized soul, I'm sorry, I repeat. For my personal development as realized soul, I need senses. So why would I stop senses, as Bhagavad Gita says?
No, it's not saying stop senses. It's saying keep using your senses. It's saying, in fact, you can't stop using your senses. Just use them for Krishna, not for yourself. That's the difference.
Okay.
So the point is, let's give an example. If you're going to eat, you can't stop eating, right? You'll die after a long time. I know if you stop drinking water, it's a week or two, but if you stop eating, you can live for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. But the Bhagavad Gita never says stop eating. Krishna says, yat kodoshi yarashnashi. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, just do it as an offering to me. So that's why we emphasize eating for Krishna a lot. Because it's a natural activity that everybody does. If you go to somebody's house, you always end up in the kitchen, right? Hanging out in the kitchen, talking, cooking. If you go home to see your mom, what's the main thing she's going to do? She's going to cook for you, right? That's what we all do. If you're going to a friend's house and you don't feed them, they won't come back. I've had personal experience. So, yeah. Okay, so last point, and we'll have a little kirtan. We just have a few minutes. Oh, yes, Bali Prabhu, yes. We're going to UPS you one over there.
Well, I was just meditating on this Vaman Dwadasi because today is such auspicious day and the lotus feet of Vaman, and I was entering our temple, and you can remember many temples ago I was there in another temple, and the kids, the shoes are so rambled here and there, even they tripped, and we are very thankful, and I just tell you it is because of Vaisesika Prabhu's mood. It is a very simple thing, but he wants to make sure that our shoes rag and the shoes are disciplined. So that shows us that the discipline starts from the bottom and it goes here. I am very much thankful, remembering many temples when I visited, people really tripped. It is a simple thing, but nobody cares. We care about many aspects of nice prasadam, nice thing, but this part is not that. But I would like to thank you for meditating and bringing the shoes. By remembering and doing this one, you are really serving the lotus feet of Vaman Dev.
Thanks, Bali Prabhu. What a nice thing to say. It is. It's really nice. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, we really got to chant, but make a point, and then we'll move on.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the lecture. In the beginning part of the lecture, you kept saying omniscient, and a verse from Sri Upanishad came into my head, verse 8 actually. I'll recite it. Sapariyakat chakramakayam avranam ashnaviram shuddham apapavitam kavir manishi paribu swayambur yata tatyo ratan vratadachasvatibhya samabhyaha. And kavir actually means omniscient. So this verse is talking about how Krishna is always omniscient and how he always knows everything. So I just wanted to share the verse, which I...
Well done, well done. Well played. And a little known fact, that's Anushri's favorite verse. Huh? A lot of us know, right? Okay. When she was a lot younger and it was before Youth Jam, it was called Kids Kirtan, and we started reciting the Sri Upanishad, and she was very quiet and said, "What's your favorite verse? Or which verse do you like?" And I didn't know if she was going to say anything. And then finally, just out of nowhere, she said, Sapari gatshu krammakaya mavranam asnaviram shu. So whenever we hear that verse, we look at Anushri, right? We'll just chant a little bit. So we're going to have a ceremony in about 8 minutes. We have Bhagavatams to give away because many devotees have... Isn't that true? Am I right? Oh, 6:45. Okay. It's good to know what's going on. So we're going to chant in any case. And Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavani Shatadeshatarani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sankirtan ki, Sharinam Mantra ki, Sharinam Prabhu ki, Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. It sounded fantastic. It was all in unison in this room. The acoustics are not that bad. Wooden floor, wooden ceiling. We got a lot of stuff around to catch the sound, and it's very inspiring. Really liked it. And I was just thinking how visceral, direct the chanting process is. Chanting, the flowers, the food. You don't have to be a big scholar. You just have to be there in the right place where the transcendental vibrations going, and there's a natural upliftment. We're already transcendental. It's not that you have to become something. We already are that. Just the layers get removed gradually. Anavriti Shabdat means, and it's from the Brahma Sutra, the last verse, that by sound vibration you can take away the layers that prevent us from experiencing ourselves and the source of ourselves, Krishna. And if we're able to experience Krishna even for 1/2 a second in one day, then our whole day is a complete success. And all the practices that we have, there's chanting, that we have this kind of chanting, which you can do in a less elaborate setup. You could do it at home and it'll have the same effect. Chant with your family, your friends, your male person, mailman, male woman. And there's a way that you can also sit and chant alone with just your voice and hear. That's also a very powerful kind of meditation called japa. Practice that. Read Bhagavad Gita. I recommend read a whole chapter every day. Try it for a month. Call me in the morning. Really, if you ever I feel disconnected, I'm not sure what I'm doing in life, read one whole chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. If anybody asks you what you're doing, say, I'm busy. And just read your chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day and tell everyone you're busy. And then in a month, see how you feel. If you don't feel better, I'll give you your money back from your purchase of Bhagavad Gita today. Guaranteed, money back guarantee. And then offer your food. It's the most intimate thing we do every day with others is eat, their cooking and things like that. And if you just arrange so that you have a simple way of offering whatever you eat, it doesn't have to be fancy, elaborate. Don't freak yourself out that it's got to be so perfect. Just, life's busy. And if you have kids, it's even busier. So have a simple way to make an offering, whatever you offer to eat. Whatever you're going to eat, offer it first, and you'll feel that, and you'll feel happy. And one last thing I want to talk about is the importance of the concept of respect. And this is one of the simple ways that Krishna describes bhakti to his good friend Uddhava. In the Bhagavatam, there's a long, long conversation. It takes up a lot of the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Krishna is reiterating and expanding what he said in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, but he's saying it to another friend, Uddhava. And in the section in which Krishna talks about bhakti and how to have this experience for yourself of direct connection to God, Krishna, he talks about the attitude of respect. And he says there that this is one of the main elements of Krishna consciousness, is to respect the soul, respect all souls. And that's a real thing, because when you're able to experience your own consciousness, you'll see that it's sacred. You can look within and observe your own consciousness. Why is it sacred? It's part of Krishna. We're part of Krishna in a very special way. The material nature is part of Krishna, but it's bina. It's kind of separated. But we're naturally always connected to Krishna. And if we can start noticing our own consciousness, and then we can have this experience of gratitude that our consciousness is, we're part of Krishna, and that Krishna is providing us, as I said earlier, everything. In fact, benevolently and abundantly so. And if we can have that feeling of gratitude, that where it could be translated as a thank you, Krishna. And we experience something of our own consciousness, and that it's, have you ever heard somebody say, it's good to be alive? How are you? It's good to be alive. Yeah, that's a real thing. As we are alive, we're always alive, but we forget that we're alive. We think we're a dead thing because I'm constantly identifying with something dead, the body, and that's a lot of anxiety. The body is hard to keep together and to, get just the way you want it, right? It's always a hassle. It's like, do I look all right? Well, not really. Something's always off with the body, and then it just totally falls apart. So better to be conscious of the soul and the super soul and your relationship and have gratitude. And then if you start seeing that principle within everyone, and there's a deep respect that you have beyond the body for every living being, and Krishna says that you're so aware of it that you feel like offering respects to everybody. He said the devotee sees a dog and feels, and it's not like, oh yeah, I saw you on YouTube, therefore, I know you're famous. But it's because you actually see the soul. You see through eyes of Scripture that the soul is there, and you understand, I show respect. And Krishna says this is the basis for being Krishna conscious, is having this kind of respect for all others and feeling deeply humble by the experience. If you can be in that state of mind and cultivate that by emulating and framing the way you see the world through the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, then there's a very natural way that you'll feel connected to Krishna and you feel very happy. So now we get to do the best thing of all, which is the Hare Krishna dance party. Say Haribol. And we got this floor especially for dancing. You might notice if you compare to other floors, tile floors, yeah. Marble floors, horrible for dancing. Wood floor, good. And these are trees that volunteered, apparently. They were here before we got here to provide a dance floor. It's a little spongy. And that simple dancing, just try moving to the music a little bit. You can raise your arms at intervals to feel just like open up your heart to Krishna. And if you have any troubles in your life, anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let them all go. Just say, Krishna, I don't know what to do. I'm a helpless living entity. I'm yours. Please, just let me be your servant and overcome all these obstacles in my life by your grace. And dance like that and just open yourself up and be supremely happy. People forget to dance for Krishna. Don't forget. And if you can't dance publicly because you're embarrassed, dance within your heart. Okay, so we're going to put away the asanas and we'll meet you back here, center stage. If for convenience, comfort, the ladies can be on this side where I am and the men can be on that side. Up to you, but it sometimes is more comfortable. See you back in 1 minute and 32 seconds. Hare Krishna. Tune. Huh? Do you know it? You know the whole thing? Because it's kind of cloudy out, I was thinking of doing a Meg Rob. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotar Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki, Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Ganga Mai ki, Jamuna Mai ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Tulasi Maharani ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Transcendental Book Distribution ki, Samaveda Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. ISKCON of Silicon Valley, and we're very glad to see this wonderful turnout today. We'd like to begin by thanking His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu for giving such a wonderful class and leading all the kirtan today. We'd also like to thank Shravan for leading the Nishingadev prayers. And also, before, I know everybody's heading out, but just to preface, we have a few quick announcements which will be followed by prasadam, so bear with us and I promise it'll be quick and sweet. Firstly, we'd like to start by thanking all of those who've come to ISV for the first time. So if you're here for the first time, give us a quick raise of hand. Welcome! Haribol! I hope I didn't miss seeing any of you, but we're so glad to have you here. It's a blessing to have you as a part of the community, and we'd like to see you come back more often. So if you have any questions or anything we can do to make your stay more comfortable, please reach out to myself or Shigopal Prabhu in the blue kurta, and we'd be glad to help you. We'd also like to thank our online audience. We have many people tuning in on Zoom, YouTube, Facebook. So we'd like to thank them, as well as Ramanand Saka Prabhu for bringing us today's broadcast. We have a couple sponsors for today, and when I call your name, if you're present, please do come up. First, we have Mohan Rao Katha Prabhu, who is sponsoring this week's Sunday feast in the loving memory of his mother, Katha Akamma, on her disappearance day. There you go. He isn't here, but we will remember his mother in his absence, and we'll chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We also have a birthday to celebrate. This is for Karthik Prabhu and his son Surya, who is turning 2 today, and he would like blessings for him to enter into the spiritual path by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We have a third sponsor, which is in the loving memory of Swaraj Chandra. It is her birthday, and it's being sponsored for, it's in the memory of his mother, Swaraj Chandra, whose birthday it is, and it's being sponsored by Subhash Chandra, Sonu Chandra, Swati Chandra, and Supriti Chandra. So, please come up. Thank you. Please say a few words.
Hare Krishna. We're here to honor our mom's appearance day today and to rejoice in the glories of Krishna and the joys of giving, which were really the story of her life that we hope to continue. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Deep gratitude to everyone here, to the chefs, to the volunteers. Thank you for everything you do. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for sponsoring in the memory of your mother. So that concludes our sponsors for today. A few other announcements that are coming up about festivals coming up. We have Bhadra Purnima, and if you haven't heard about it already, we're really, really excited about it. And we've been inching towards this for the better part of the year. And it is a very special festival in our temple, and we welcome you to come on Tuesday, and it's between 6 to 7:30 p.m. So please be there to partake in the festivities. We also have a very special guest, His Holiness S.B. Keshava Swami, who is visiting ISV this week. So he will be giving the Wednesday online class, and he will be present at ISV on Saturday and Sunday. So please don't miss the... just Saturday. So he'll just be here on Saturday. So to recap, he'll be giving the class on Wednesday, and he'll also be here on Saturday. So please don't miss out on his association. All of this program information will go out in an email, so you won't miss this. And we also request the devotees who have sponsored a Srimad Bhagavatam set in previous sponsorships that took place over the last few weeks. Please be here at 6:40 in the temple room to receive a set of Srimad Bhagavatam from the hands of His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu. That is a very, very special treat, so please do not miss that opportunity. Here in the temple room at 6:40 p.m. All right, now we have the final announcement, which is the cooks. Arna will be announcing them. Oh, there you go.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, everyone. Today's Sunday's feast was led by Ananda Vrindavan Mataji, followed by Shama Bhakta Prabhu, Shama Karuna Mataji, Sri Ram Prabhu, Hitesh Prabhu, Tapo Mai Prabhu, Treni Mataji, Gopi Priya Mataji, Shalini Mataji, Meghavi Mataji, Vijeta Mataji, Rima Mataji, Nidhi Mataji, and Ashish Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So regarding thank you, Arna, first of all. That was a long list of names. We, at 6:40, for the Badr Purnima receiving the sets, it's for those who live further away and who've been able to come here on Sunday. But you can also come on Tuesday if you're able to make it and receive the set on Badr Purnima day. So that's also an option. Pick and choose the best. Now, we have two special birthdays here. First, we have the birthday of Nisha, who has been here at ISV since time immemorial. She's such an integral part, her entire family. And because it's Nisha's birthday, it also happens to be Neil's birthday, her twin. So let's chant together. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Nisha needs a little encouragement to come up. Please come.
Hare Krishna. I'm really thankful to have been a part of this community for so long, since I was little. I remember, coming to the Bascom Temple in '99, and I just built so many good memories with everyone here, and I feel that every time I feel like even if time has passed and I can always pick up where I left off with this community and with this congregation, and I'm just really thankful for everyone and your association. Thank you.
Thank you, Nisha. And I hope you'll tell Neil that we all said happy birthday. And we also have Shravan, whose birthday it is today. Please come up. I just recently got to learn a lot more about Shravan and how wonderfully talented he is. He is a student at UC Berkeley studying something beyond my genius. And we're very happy to have you in the community. And please say a few words.
Hare Krishna, thank you for those kind words. And thank you, everybody, first of all, for accepting me into this community. I mean, I've been here for now 1 year exactly. And I can call this, I'm very happy to call this one of my families, and I'm just very grateful and everything for the association and the inspiration I get from everybody here in this congregation. So please bless me so that I can continue in my spiritual advancement and also help serve everything serve Gurudev and at ISV. Thank you.
Thank you, Shravan. Oh, we have one more really special birthday. Today is Halada Rupa Prabhu's birthday. Okay. And he's out on book distribution, which is such a true part of his character. So in his absence, maybe I'll say a few words. Halada Rupa Prabhu and Kumari Leela Mataji and their beautiful daughter Kunji, they're such an integral part of our community. I still remember when they came to ISV back in the early part of the 2000s, and almost every Saturday, they go out on book distribution to all the different parts of the Bay Area and freely distribute what's so abundantly in their heart, which is love for Krishna, in the form of books. And we're so grateful to have them as a part of the community. And we'll sing together again. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Haribol. That concludes our announcements. So after Prashadam prayers, we'll have Prashadam served outside. Feel free to honor Prashadam inside or out, but we just need to have this temple hall ready by 6:40 p.m. Hare Krishna.
Sharira Vidyaja Jore Diya Tahega Jive Fele Vishayasa Dharma De Jivayati Lobo Moisu Durmati